Have you ever reached the end of a day, finally sat down and thought, thank goodness, now I can switch off? But the moment everything goes quiet, your mind does the opposite. Instead of relaxing, you start replaying conversations, thinking about what you said, what you should have done, what you forgot, what tomorrow is going to bring. Your body's exhausted, but your mind is on high alert. So even when you finally get a moment to rest, it doesn't feel restful. And that can be such a frustrating place to live. Because on the outside, it might look like you're winding down, but on the inside, it feels like your brain just will not leave you alone. You might start wondering, why can't I just switch off? Why do I always do this? Why does resting feel so hard for me? As a psychologist, this is something I hear all the time. A lot of people assume it means they're just bad at relaxing, bad at coping, or just naturally anxious. But often that's not what's actually going on. Overthinking at the end of the day is not always about being disorganized or incapable. It's often the result of patterns your brain has learned over time. Patterns that were once about coping and staying on top of things or protecting you, but now keep you stuck in a constant state of mental overdrive. In this video, I want to walk through 3 key patterns that often sit underneath overthinking, so you can understand why your mind does this, and more importantly, how to begin changing it. Before we go further, if this is something you struggle with, I've created a free 3-step reset guide to help you start calming that mental spiral. It's pinned in the comments below. Now let's do a deep dive. The first pattern is what we call mental rehearsal. This is when your mind keeps going back over something that has already happened, almost like trying to replay it, study it, and refine it. You might notice thoughts like, what did I say back there? Did that come across the right way? Should I handle that differently? Did they take that the wrong way? And it can feel like your brain just won't let it go. Now here's the important part, because this is where people often misunderstand themselves. This isn't your mind being irrational, and it's not a sign that you're failing to cope. This is actually your brain trying to help you. It's reviewing what happened, looking for anything it could improve, trying to reduce the chance of mistakes next time. In a way, it's your mind saying, let's just go over that again so we can get it right next time. And this pattern is common, especially in people who deeply care about how they show up, value relationships, or want to do things well. Because when something matters to you, your brain pays attention to it. I once worked with a woman who would lay in bed at night replaying a simple conversation from work over and over and over in her head. Nothing bad had gone wrong. No one had said anything negative. But in her mind, she was going over every detail. The tone of her voice, the timing, what she said at the end, how the other person took what she said. And when we explored it, it wasn't because she was overreacting. It was because she cared. She wanted to be thoughtful, professional, and well received. And this is where mental rehearsal starts. It begins as something quite adaptive, a way of learning, refining, and improving. But when your brain doesn't know when to stop, that same helpful process turns into something exhausting. Because instead of reviewing once and moving on, your mind keeps reopening the file again and again and again. The second pattern is what I call predictive thinking. This is where your mind starts moving forward, trying to anticipate what might happen next. You notice thoughts like, what if this goes wrong? What if I can't handle it? What if something unexpected happens? And it can feel like your brain is constantly scanning ahead, trying to prepare for every possible outcome. Now, again, this isn't your mind being dramatic or negative. This is your brain trying to do something very simple. Stay in control. Because when things feel predictable, they feel safer. If your mind can map out what's coming, it believes it can protect you. And this is especially common if you've ever been in situations where things have felt uncertain, overwhelming, or just out of your control. Because your brain learns, and next time we'll be ready. We won't get caught off guard again. But here's where the problem starts. Life isn't predictable. No matter how much you think ahead, You can't account for every variable, every response, or every outcome. So the thinking doesn't actually resolve anything. It just keeps searching. What about this scenario? What about that one? Have you thought of everything? And before you know it, you're stuck in the what if loop. I see this often with people who feel like they can't relax unless everything is sorted out. They'll try to think through every possibility before they rest, before they send a message, before they make a decision. But because there's always another possibility, their mind never quite gives them permission to switch off. And this is where predictive thinking becomes exhausting, because instead of helping you feel prepared, it keeps you mentally on duty. Always scanning, always anticipating, always trying to stay one step ahead of a future that hasn't even happened yet. And over time, that can leave you feeling like you're never really at ease, even when nothing is actually wrong in the present moment. And when you combine that constant thinking ahead with everything you already carry, it often leads into the third pattern, feeling responsible for everything. And this is something I see all the time. It's that quiet feeling of responsibility. Responsibility for work, for the house, for remembering things, for keeping everything running, and sometimes even for how other people feel. This is where your mind doesn't really switch off because it feels like it shouldn't. I had a client who told me that at night, once the house was finally quiet, she would sit down and instead of relaxing, her mind would start going through everything. Did I reply to that message? What was on tomorrow? Did I forget anything for the kids? I should probably check that. Nothing was urgent, but her mind just was still on duty. And when we talked about it, she said something really important. She said, I feel like that if I stop, something will fall through the cracks. And that's the key with this pattern. It's not just about being busy. It's about your mind believing I'm the one who holds everything together. So even when your body is sitting still, your mind is still doing little check-ins, running lists, scanning for problems, trying to stay on top of things. And over time, that becomes your normal. You don't even question it anymore. You just feel like you're someone who can't switch off. But really, your brain has just learned that it's not allowed to. Because somewhere underneath it is the feeling, if I stop, something might get missed. And when you put this together with mental rehearsal and predictive thinking, it makes sense why your mind feels so active at the end of the day. It's not random, it's not a flaw, it's a system that's been trying to take care of everything for a long time. Because from your brain's point of view, it hasn't been a problem. It's been something that's worked. These patterns have helped you stay on top of things, kept life moving, remember what matters and take care of other people and responsibilities around you. And while you might feel tired or mentally drained at times, the reality is that things are still getting done. Nothing is falling apart. In many ways, you've been coping. So your brain keeps doing what it believes is helpful. It keeps thinking ahead, reviewing, staying alert, trying to make sure you're prepared for whatever might come next. Over time, this becomes your normal. Not something you consciously choose, but something your system has learned to rely on. And that's why it can feel so hard to switch off, because this isn't your brain working against you. It's your brain doing exactly what it has learned to do. Keep things running smoothly and keep you safe. The difficulty is what once helped you stay on top of life can start to make it harder to step out of it. And just to be really clear, there's nothing bad or wrong with these patterns. In many ways, they're actually helpful traits to have. They've likely supported you in staying organised, thoughtful, and on top of things. Where they start to become a problem, though, is when they're happening so often or so automatically that it becomes hard for you to properly switch off, unwind, and rest. So now that you understand some of the why behind this, the next question is, well, what can you actually do about it? The first thing I'll say that might sound simple, but it is important, is don't try to force your mind to stop thinking. Because if it were that easy, you would have already done it. And the truth is, the more you try to shut your thoughts down, the more your mind tends to push back. So instead of fighting your mind, we take a different approach. We start working with your system, not against it. Because underneath all of this isn't just thinking. It's a nervous system that has learned to stay on, to stay alert, to keep everything running. So the shift isn't about switching your mind off. It's about helping your nervous system realize it doesn't have to be on duty all the time. And the way we do this is actually quite simple. We use the same process your brain used to learn these patterns in the first place: repetition and reinforcement. Small, consistent moments where you allow yourself to pause, to step out of the mental noise and experience what it feels like to slow down, even briefly. And at first that can feel unfamiliar, sometimes even a little uncomfortable, because your system isn't used to it. But over time, those small moments start to send a very different message to your brain, that it's safe to slow down, that not everything needs to be thought through. You don't have to hold everything all the time. And when you do this with awareness, you're not just hoping things change. You're actively retraining your system. And that's where real shifts start to happen, and often more quickly than people expect. I want to share with you 3 simple things you can begin to try straight away. Nothing complicated, just small shifts that start to teach your system it's safe to slow down. Number 1, gently bring yourself back into the present moment. When your mind starts racing ahead or replaying things, the first step is to bring your attention back to what's happening right now. That might be as simple as noticing what's around you, slowing your breath slightly, or feeling your feet on the ground. You're not trying to stop your thoughts, you're just giving your mind somewhere else to land. 2, give your thinking a place to go. If your mind feels like it has to keep thinking about something, it's often because it doesn't trust that it won't be forgotten. So instead of trying to push those thoughts away, give it some structure. You might say to yourself, I'll come back to this tomorrow, or write it down so your brain doesn't have to keep holding on to it. That way you're not ignoring the thought, you're just containing it. 3, ask yourself, do I need to solve this right now? This is a really simple but powerful shift. If your mind keeps returning to something, pause for a moment and ask yourself, do I actually need to solve this right now? And often the answer is no. And in that moment, something important happens. You create a little space between you and the thinking. And this is where change starts. Because as your body begins to settle, even slightly, your mind will follow. So if you're taking anything from this, let it be this. Overthinking doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. More often than not, it means your mind has been trying to take care of you, trying to keep you prepared, in control, and on top of things for a long time. But you're also allowed to step out of that. You're allowed to have moments where nothing needs solving, nothing needs figuring out, and you don't have to be on all the time. And that's not something you force, it's something you learn, one small moment at a time. If you'd like a bit of help getting started with that, I've created a free 3-step nervous system reset. It's a simple, practical way to begin calming that mental overactivity and giving your system a chance to slow down. You'll find it pinned in the comments below.